Back with you, Marjorie, but first we're going back to Teresa Tomeo, and she is with the Silent No More awareness campaign. Teresa, tell us about this group.
Well, Catherine, I'm sure you know this familiar face right here, the lovely Janet Morana, my co-host on the Catholic View for Women, also on EWTN television. She's also the host of Defending Life on EWTN and the co-founder of the Silent No More Awareness Campaign. And one of the voices that needs to be heard, the voice of the men and the women who have had abortions and regret those decisions and want to speak out about it. Janet, how long has Silent No More been in existence?
Well, Georgette Forney and I of Anglicans for Life developed the campaign in 2002, and of course we held our first events in January 2003.
And more men are getting involved.
Absolutely. Men and now grandparents of aborted babies, they're regarding their part in that. Some grandparents knew of the abortion, took their daughters, and that were aborting their grandchild. We have now siblings holding signs that say, I mourn my aborted sibling. And the whole extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins, everyone has been affected.
When you think about 60 million babies since Roe v. Wade and how the impact of that, the shockwaves, as your new book says, and also just the fallout from so many areas and in so many areas of our lives. And I know you brought a special guest with you today. This is Pam. And Pam, you have an interesting story to tell. Share a little bit of that story if you could.
Okay, well, almost 40 years ago, I was raped when I was engaged to my husband, and we were just devastated. We didn't know who the father of the baby was because I had made the mistake of being intimate with my husband, so which was my fiance at the time. So anyway, I just suffered greatly, cried for days, and finally just gave in to fear and had the abortion. Immediately when they took the baby from me, I knew that it was a horrible mistake. I suffered terribly. I felt loneliness, fear, sorrow, shame, regret, everything, every bad emotion.
So basically what it didn't help the situation. It made a bad situation because you were already in pain because of the rape itself, and the confusion and the fear from that made a bad situation worse.
Absolutely, and it was then a double trauma, and the trauma from the rape was nothing compared to the trauma of realizing I killed my own child.
So what would you say to folks out there? Because it's often a question that comes up. Well, what about cases of rape and incest?
I would say for rape, abortion is not the answer. And I believe there is no good reason to have an abortion. It is an innocent child. Yeah.
That's right, and that's what the church teaches, that every abortion is intrinsically evil. But thank you for your courage and for speaking up. And you're a new member of Silent No More. How long have you been involved?
11 years.
Oh, great. Mm-hmm. So not so new. Thank you for your witness. And Janet, good to see you. And we'll see you back on TV. Back to you in the studio. Really important, though, to get these voices out there, because what you hear in the world is so different from what you hear from the women and men in the Silent No More awareness campaign. And make sure, of course, we've got the Supreme Court coverage coming up of all their testimonies later in the day. EWTN News Nightly is going to be there covering their testimonies from the Supreme Court. Back to you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Teresa. Those voices are so important. These are women who have been there. They've experienced abortion, and they are here to say it's not worth it. No.
I love those ladies.
Absolutely.
I just love them. They're so important.
And they're so courageous, too, in sharing their stories. As Teresa mentioned, they'll be gathering at the Supreme Court. Jason Calvi from EWTN News Nightly will be reporting from the Supreme Court, so we'll get that full coverage there.